Hello, viewers. My name is Zach Hardy, and this is my review of USW Ferocity 0006 from August 1st, 2015. A few things before I get started. First, I lowered the brightness on my laptop, just that way. Oh, and yes, I did get my laptop back, by the way. But I did lower the brightness because I've realized that my face is very fucking bright, whiter than it usually is um, on these videos with this laptop. So hopefully this brightness setting will change everything. It doesn't look as though it is, but we'll see. And another thing, I don't know why, but you don't see this whole Unitard's Twitter at Zachary Sarah thing down at the bottom. I don't know why. And it pisses me off because that's my whole, that's pretty much my one plug source that I do in these videos, besides, follow me on Twitter and send your questions to this email. So, guess I'm going to have to do without that for this video. But before we get into the review, as always, follow me on Twitter at Zachary Sarah. That's at ZACHARYSERRA. For updates on this channel and whatever I post. And if you have any wrestling-related questions for the Hardiac Wrestling Podcast, or any non-wrestling-related questions for the next episode of the Hardiac Questions and Answers series, send them to unitards@gmail.com. That is unitards with two Z's at the end, at gmail.com, and your questions will be answered on an upcoming episode of the Hardiac Wrestling Podcast or the Hardiac Questions and Answers series. But without further ado, I guess we better get into this review. I'm going to be completely honest with you, and let's go to Twitter here. Let's go to Twitter. I'm probably gonna have to sign into Twitter since I don't have anything from my laptop left. Yep, login. I want to read you the exact post that I put up, so you guys won't be mad at me for not liking the show or not knowing that it was supposed to be a good show, or you don't have any taste in anything. Let's see, 395 tweets. Oh, I know that number before. Roddy Piper. Anyway, the post said, I am ready for what is rumored to be an awesome Ferocity tonight. Let's hope so. That was sent 10 hours ago, which means it was sent approximately... Fuck, I don't know. I'm losing my mind. If that's the case, then it was sent at 1:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I swear, I thought I put that down like 4 or 5. All right, well, 10 hours ago. Oh, and before that is the rest in peace Roddy Piper thing. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that. That's something I don't want to indulge into. But it was supposed to be, or it was meant to be, an awesome Ferocity. Everybody was calling it an awesome Ferocity. It just seemed like one of your regular shows. It's not something like, oh, it's a better... I mean, I've only watched Ferocity once before this, and I'm sorry for the late review, but I've only watched Ferocity once before this, and I don't know the whole backstory. I don't know if there is such things as a quote-unquote good... Fuck you, you piece of shit. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's something as a, or somewhat of a good Ferocity, or a bad Ferocity, or a better than last week Ferocity, or a typical Ferocity. I haven't watched Ferocity enough to know that, and I don't think even diehard USW fans have watched enough in Ferocity to really know that, or really understand that. And that's part of the problem with new shows. It's kind of like you have to develop a fan base, and you have to develop a following, and you have to continue to have that following follow you. And right now, Ferocity doesn't really have that, and therefore nobody really understands at this moment in time what a good Ferocity is or what a bad Ferocity is. So those who are saying, "Oh, this is going to be an amazing Ferocity," I don't think they really understood the point that I made last week, and that, well, I'm sorry, not last week, but I made a couple days ago, that there's no such thing right now as an amazing Ferocity, because there's nothing really to compare it to. Yeah, you can compare it to, what was it, Ferocity Judgment, but that's a special event. You can only really compare special events for Ferocity to that, and possibly even to USW pay-per-views. But there's nothing to compare Ferocity to, really, and it's even in itself. It's only gone on for, at this point in time, 6 episodes. So there's no real way, even, or there's no real way for you to even consider something a similarity to Ferocity. What I'm trying to say is there is no way to know if there's going to be a good Ferocity or a bad Ferocity, because there's nothing to compare it to. There's nothing that you can compare it to, because you haven't gotten enough Ferocity. Maybe when you hit 20 episodes, all right, fine. I guess I could take you up on your word there. Maybe you've watched enough Ferocity. I don't fucking know. But right now, my tip for you for advice is, if somebody's saying, "Oh, this is going to be an amazing Ferocity," don't get your hopes up. I mean, I didn't get my hopes up all that much, but don't get your hopes up, because some of those people don't really know what they're talking about. And those who do know what they're talking about know not to say anything about, "Oh, this is going to be an amazing intensity," or, I mean, amazing Ferocity or a bad Ferocity, because it's way too early on in this series to know. So let's get into the review. We start off the show with a Kyle Reese promo. And he comes out, announces that the main event for tonight's main event. My fucking notes are all over the place. The main event for tonight's show will feature the #1 contender for the Ferocity Championship, Weiler, facing off against both members of the Northern Lights, the Ferocity Tag Team Champions Blaine and Samuel North, in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Kyle Reese tells Kevin Storm that he will be the special referee for that match tonight. So, putting more water into the boiling pot of Kevin Storm and Weiler's feud. And I guess this is to fill up time for the tag champs. And not only that, but now you have the Ferocity Championship involved in the same thing as the Ferocity Tag Team Championships. So I guess that brings some interest to it. But simple promo, not much done. We get into the first match, and out of all the matches, this match probably should have been the main event. But it was Otis Crane defeating Xavier King via disqualification. I guess this is Otis Crane and Xavier King feud. He goes for the redneck, which is some sort of DDT. I think it's like a shockwave DDT or an impulse DDT. I call it an impulse DDT. I call a DDT that you get dropped directly on your head and has so much impact. I call that an impulse DDT. I come up with my own names for these moves. Don't judge me. Well, you can fucking judge me. I don't care. But he attempts the redneck, again, a shockwave DDT. But right as he tucks Xavier King's head underneath his arm, Xavier King hits a low blow on Otis Crane, and the referee calls for disqualification. Otis Crane wins the match via disqualification, and Xavier King books out of the Coliseum as Otis Crane just stares him down. Nothing much interesting there. I guess you pretty much just legitimized Xavier King as a chicken shit heel, or a cowardly heel, because now he's running away from a situation that wouldn't have gone in his favor. So in order for him not to look weak, he didn't he took the cheap way out, and of course, in that way, took the cheap heel way, the cowardly heel way out, and booked out of the ring. So, not much done except signify that okay, Otis Crane is the face and Xavier King's the heel. We know that now. We completely know that. There's no doubting that. Uh, okay, whatever. We jump into the second match, which is Philip and Zach Painter, the Painters, beating the Colors, Wade Green and Leo Blue. And then Zach Painter gets on the microphone and tells the Northern Lights that they want, well, I guess the Northern Lights, Samuel and Blaine North, that they want a match for the Ferocity Tag Team Championships next week on Ferocity. The Northern Lights walk out, tell the Painters that they will give them their title match next week. Surf and Tanner then walk behind Samuel and Blaine North uh, and hit them over the back of the heads with the Ferocity Tag Team titles. Then hold the Ferocity Tag Team title belts above their heads, signaling that they want to become the new Ferocity Tag Team champions. That's what I took it as. I don't know what the fuck this. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I thought. I mean, bear with me here, please. Bear with me here, please. What? Why the fuck do Surf and Tanner have the tag team titles? Are they? I take it they stole the tag team titles at one point, and that's why the Northern Lights didn't have the titles last week, and that's why they don't have them this week. And if they don't have them, then why bother giving the Painters the opportunity to win the tag team titles? If they were to win, they would have no prize. They wouldn't be able to have the tag team titles. They'd just be called the tag team champions. That's pretty much the same as having a battery-powered pig race against other battery-powered pigs on a table with a pipe cleaner, have them reach the end of the table, and the first one to reach the end of the table wins the entire race, the pig race. And in turn, that causes the winner to be crowned the winner, but if you have no trophy to represent that you are the winner, why the fuck even have the whole event take place anyway? So why have this whole tag team match take place if they don't have the tag team titles? It's confusing because last week on Frosty there were so many points that were so many parts of the show that were confusing, and here this was probably the most confusing part of the show. Here's what I'm going to put as an analogy. I'm sorry. Because I know there are a lot of people that are fans of sports that actually watch my videos, so thank you. But let's just say, excuse me, now this is not what happens in the actual NFL, but let's say the San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl as Super Bowl 49, and they win the Lombardi Trophy. Now, let's say if you were to have the Super Bowl, the next year's Super Bowl go on, you would have to have another team face last year's winner. That doesn't happen. They just go through whoever wins. Never mind. Whoever makes it to the playoffs, and then whoever advances to the Super Bowl, and the winner of that game wins the Lombardi Trophy. But let's just say the 49ers won the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 49, and then Super Bowl 50 comes around. The New England Patriots make it to the Super Bowl, but they have to face the 49ers, who are the defending champions. Now, let's say the Lombardi Trophy is broken, or it has been melted down, or it's been dropped off the Empire State Building, and they can't make a new one for some fucking reason. I don't know, budget cuts, economy, I don't know. But let's say the New England Patriots win. What do they get? I mean, yes, you get a Super Bowl ring later on, in the year, but the big thing you compete for, that the team itself competes for, not just the player to win the MVP award, which I don't know, what was it, the Stanley Haynes? Oh no, the Pete Rozelle MVP trophy, I believe. Um, the whole team doesn't compete for the MVP trophy. That's for one player. But the whole team competes for the Lombardi trophy. And if you don't have the Lombardi trophy, why the fuck even bother going for that other than to call yourself the defending champions? If you don't have a trophy to show that you won, what does that do to even your self-esteem? Hey, we're Super Bowl champions. Where's the trophy? Well, I mean, parts were on the street of New York, and then parts are still floating through the sewer system. And I think a taxi cab took one to its windshield. That's probably why his insurance contacted us. I have this. It's not much. I hope you get my point. Anyway, I'm sorry if I seem stoned or if I seem like I'm high. I am not, I promise you that. I'm just tired as shit. I've been out all day. Anyway, there's no... Fuck it. Next up, we go into the next promo. Morgan Anthony comes out, cuts a promo telling Clyde that he wants a match with him next week on Ferocity, and if he does not show up, he will go searching for him until he finds him and destroys him. Such vivid words, or even such vivid notes that I've taken. What do you mean by destroy him? Do you mean you're going to beat him down until he's carted off in an ambulance? Or do you mean you're going to literally kick him with a steel-toed boot in the ass and then say, you've gotten your beat down, I destroyed you. Walk away, flick your cape or your jacket or whatever you're wearing. This is not just me reading off my notes. This is what he said. If he does not show up for their match next week, I will find you and destroy you. Are you researching your roles for the next fucking Terminator movie? Because why? This promo is stupid. And when you use words like, I'm going to destroy you, or I'm going to obliterate you, or I'm going to punish you, why not just say, I'm going to hurt you, or I'm going to beat you down, or I'm going to injure you, or I'm going to cripple you? Why not use words other than destroy? Because if you use the word injure, you can break his arm. If you use the word destroy, it's like you're going to shoot a fucking bazooka up his ass and have him explode into a million pieces like a fucking Scott Pilgrim versus the World sequel. Better choice of words go a long way. And whenever I see somebody use words like bruh instead of even the word bro, or if they say sup instead of hello, you sound like a fucking douchebag, or you sound like a fucking imbecile, or you sound like a fucking idiot. And, sorry. And when you're cutting a promo, especially in professional wrestling, you want to use better choices of words. Unless your character that you portray as in-ring or on script is a douchebag or a fucking asshole or a moron, use better words. And I'm pretty fucking sure as soon as Morgan Anthony got off of that promo, Kyle Reese ripped him a new one. Because let me tell you this. Here's a little behind the scenes information. Kyle Reese has always been one to encourage using better choice of words during promos or during segments in which you have a microphone in your hands and you're supposed to talk. So what do you think Kyle Reese did after that. And I'm telling you, he will notice these kinds of things. He will not just say, "Good promo." He'll realize. Yeah, I mean, he even went to fucking. He even had promo. I don't know, promo training or something like that. He had promo training when he was a kid because his father wanted him to be in the wrestling business, and he is to an extent. He's the owner of a wrestling promotion. But he's always found these things. He's even ripped my ass a new one because I've used poor words and poor choices of words, which I'm not one to do that very often. But I just can't imagine what he told Morgan Anthony after this. I mean, granted, he's a rookie. He's not a fucking professional. He's not a member of the full time roster. So obviously, he doesn't have as much on his shoulders as we do on the intensity roster, but this is a good place to learn. So Morgan Anthony can learn from this, and he can go a long way for his future promos, and hopefully he cleans up his vocabulary a little bit, and we get better promos. Because his promo was just, I didn't like it. And I know a lot of people and a lot of other people did not like it either. So we jump into our third match. We have 4 matches on the card, and I'm only in the third fucking match, and I'm probably 20 minutes into this review. Third match on the card, Austin Atomic defeated Drew Akron. It was a solid match. Drew Akron, of course, is a powerhouse, and then you had him fit up against Austin Atomic, who is pretty much just the same height at the same height level as he is, yet he is also using high flying moves and acrobatic moves and those things, the moves you would see in Lucha Underground or Lucha Libre, um, wrestling really. Um, he using those moves in his arsenal to take down the big guy, as well as using his technical prowess. So pretty good match. The ending came about when Atomic hit the atomic weapon on Akron. I think he just did that and got the pinfall win. And then Jake Porter and Dustin Black are seen fighting backstage, which leads Dustin Black hitting the pitcher. Hold on. I think it was Dustin Black hit the pitcher on Jake Porter, and it was into one of those fire crates or one of those equipment crates. Dustin Black pitcher. Power bomb into front body drop. Yeah. That was the pitcher. It was okay. I mean, you didn't really get much else from Austin Atomic or Drew Akron, but you did, I guess, somewhat pull up together some kind of storyline. I guess we're gonna get, and I think Ferocity Mercy. Yeah, Ferocity Mercy is 4 weeks away, so it looks like we're gonna get a Dustin Black and Austin Atomic versus Drew Akron and Jake Porter match at Ferocity Mercy. But I don't know. Austin Atomic is the real standout in there. I think he's doing very well on the Ferocity roster. And I think that you have Jake Porter as someone very underrated in the Ferocity roster. Not many people talk about him other than when they're talking about how he is the brother of Dwayne Porter. So I think if Jake Porter were to get a little bit more exposed, then he could really shine. But until then, he can do very well just at the point he is at right now, or at the point he is in right now. And then you have Drew Akron and you have Dustin Black. Dustin Black seems to me more like the Dustin Raymond of the Ferocity roster, and Drew Akron, I don't know, he seems kind of like an outcast in here. He seems kind of like one of those performers you know is there, but you don't really care about it. So, I mean, both these performers are very good and very talented wrestlers. Um, but I think they're just a little underexposed for what their talent is at or at par to. So I think if you were to give them a little bit more noticeability to their characters, or if you were to expose them a little bit more, I think they could really stride as well. Jake Porter is one of those guys who will strive more than likely will more than likely strive um, if he were to be exposed. But I think Austin Atomic right now is doing well, even though he's not super exposed, or he's not exposed to a specific length. I think he's doing he's doing excellent with whatever he's getting, and that just makes me feel like Allison Atomic is the real standout in this feud. So we jump into the next promo. Wilder cuts a promo. It's no matter who is in his way, he breaks through them and gets where he wants to go. Tells everyone that he is not looking for wins, he is looking for pain, he is looking for abuse, he is looking for violence, and he plans on proving that he can cause pain when he takes the Ferocity Championship away from Kevin Storm in 4 weeks. So again, another case of choice of words. This is a positive note. Wilder is one of those very Bray Wyatt-esque performers, and he's very good on the microphone. And not only does he use the word pain to elicit the fact that he's looking to take away the Ferocity Championship from Kevin Storm, so not only would he cause pain, not only would he cause Kevin Storm physical pain, but he'd cause him emotional pain by taking away his championship belt, which I liked. And they may not have been going for that, but that's what I took away from it, and I think that's very interesting. So now we get into our 4th match, which is the main event. It's a 2-on-1 handicap match with Kevin Storm as a special referee. Wilder beats the Northern Lights. It was Samuel North attempting to hit the Icy River. However, Wilder ducks, and Samuel North hits Blaine North with the Icy River, leading to Wilder hitting the Y on Samuel North, which is just a spear from behind. So it's like I'm standing here, Wilder's coming up from behind me, spear, and that's pretty much all the Y is. It's W, Y, and then question mark. Cool. And gets the pin on Samuel North for the win. Kevin Storm raises Wilder's hand, and Wilder attempts to kick Storm. However, Storm drops Wilder, hits the inclement weather, which, looking back on my notes, is the backwards fireman's carry lift into a drop on the opponent's head, which is similar to picking him up from behind and dropping him on his head. Wilder then walks away from the ring as Kevin Storm holds up the Ferocity Championship towards the crowd, again trying to elicit cheap pops from the crowd. But this one starts to show signs of a face turn for Kevin Storm to end the show. And I think it's interesting because, I mean, let's all be honest, Kevin Storm seems like a very, very close replica to Kevin Owens, or Kevin Steen, however you want to look at him. So I think since Kevin Owens is more of a very fucking cocky, brash heel, it's interesting to see Kevin Storm go away from that and in turn seem more like a face, a baby face. I don't like to use the term babyface. I like to use the term face. But I guess we get a face turn to end the show, and that's the way we end it. So, looking back through the show, we get a Kyle Reese promo. We get an Otis Crane we get Otis Crane defeating Xavier King via disqualification. We get the Painters defeating the Colors. We got a Morgan Anthony promo. We've got Austin Atomic beating Drew Akron. We've got a Wilder promo. We've got a Wilder beat the Northern Lights on 2-on-1 handicap match. Whatever. And then we get a Kevin Storm face turn. So all in all, it seemed like a regular show. That's why I'm going to give it a 3-star rating. And for those of you who don't really know, a 3-star rating is my version of giving a rating of, it just seemed like an okay pay-per-view, or an okay review, or an okay show, or it was a decent show, or it was it was all right. It was a regular show. Then two is like, it's under average, or it's under average, or it's below average. A one is like, it was not good at all, or it was not good. And then a four is, this is actually a pretty good. It was actually a very good show. And then a 5 star is, oh, this was an awesome, amazing, spectacular show. So you barely ever see me give a 5 star rating. But I don't know. I guess I give this show a 3. It just seemed like a regular show, and I think for a lot of people that didn't like the show, if they had gotten um their hopes up by hearing, oh, this was supposed to be such a great show, then this just teaches them not only to avoid what people think of a show um, before they see it, and not only that, but I think it shows them that things can, especially wrestling, excuse me, and yes, USW is capable of this flaw as well, but um, even with wrestling, um, expectations can be um, overhyped, or things can be not as good as you thought they would be, or not as good as you really wanted them to be. And expectations are meant to be broken. They're meant to be shattered, or they're meant to be paraded. They're meant to be um, I don't fucking know. They're meant to be, expectations are meant to be proven wrong, and expectations are meant to be proven right. And then some expectations are just the same way you expected them to be. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not, and sometimes that's better than what you would have wanted. But with this, I think it was just a regular show, so 3 stars. That's all I'm going to give it. I don't think I would want to give it anything more. So I guess I'll leave it at that. So thank you for watching. This was my review. Let me get after that. But remember to follow me on Twitter at Zachary Sarah. I'm really bothered by not being able to do this and point down to my Twitter account and to my Unitards page. But follow me on Twitter at Zachary Sarah, ZACHARYSERRA, for updates on this channel, updates on the video, and anything else, whatever else I post. And if you have any wrestling-related questions for the Hardiac Wrestling Podcast, or any non-wrestling-related questions for the Hardiac Questions and Answers series, send them to unitards@gmail.com. That's unitards with 2 Z's at the end at gmail.com. And your questions will be answered on an upcoming episode of the Hardiac Wrestling Podcast, or an upcoming episode of the Hardiac Questions and Answers series. And with that, I will leave. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This was my review of the August 1st, 2015 USW Ferocity episode, August 1st, 2015 episode of USW Ferocity. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I'm Zach Hardy, signing off.